Welcome to Bloom with Ansa, a platform for holistic growth and transformation. I'm your host, Ansa Noreen, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, Bloom with Ansa, please do so. And give us a thumbs up and press the bell icon so all our future videos can reach to you to help you transform in your life and become a better version of yourself. I'm thrilled to introduce my today's esteemed guest, Belinda Mays.
One of the biggest symptoms of perimenopause, and that is the belly fat and perimenopause. And through my research, I've also found that you could be in perimenopause for years. She may be having a mood swing moment. It's not against me, it's against her hormones. Think of it like a car that when your car is you take it to the mechanic and the mechanic tells you what's wrong. It's the same thing with this body. Body exercises, a lot of cardio, things of that nature. And it seemed like it was making it worse. Oh, I've got to get my body back because I'm going to the Christmas party, or I've got to hurry up and get my body together because I have this great vacation coming up, or I'm going to be standing up in front of people training. Here, it's going to be a new you. What used to work is not going to work anymore. Here's what I say. Aging is a gift that not everyone receives, right? Right now, say that my life is over.
No.
I have a whole nother life to live. We age and we get this perimenopausal weight gain because you may get, 5 or 10 pounds a year and it's sliding up. You're like, oh, that's nothing. I know this back row right here, it's going to be the last to go. And when it goes, it's going to be the first to come back. Give yourself some grace, love yourself, bloom where you are.
Welcome, and thank you so much, Belinda, for taking the time to have this very, very important conversation with us today. I'm super excited and so curious to learn all about this perimenopause phase that we all go through, and some of are in the midst of it, and how you have been in your journey, navigating through this phase, and not just navigating but thriving in that phase by learning about it, by managing it, by curating a plan, an exercise plan, health plan, diet plan, so you can enjoy this phase just as much as you did previously in all the other years in your life. But before we dive into that, I would love for you to tell me what is your definition of the word bloom?
Well, thank you again for having me here, Ansa. So, to me, blooming is all about finally walking in your purpose and blooming and doing those things that you've always wanted to do and doing it unapologetically. So often, as women, we're told that you have to be small and don't shine too much. But hey, I think that all women need to bloom and accept their gifts, flaunt their gifts, and don't apologize for being your authentic self. So that's what bloom means to me.
What a powerful definition of word bloom. Can you give our audience an idea of what this conversation is going to be all about, and how they can implement all of this information on their life, and how this will benefit them?
So the conversation today that you and I are going to be sharing is something that all women, I consider it a blessing and a curse. All women will eventually get to, and that's the perimenopause. And I think any men that are listening, hey, you guys need to listen as well, because some of the things that we go through as a woman are going to seem unusual to you. And, we need your support to help us to get through this, period in life. So I'm just going to be sharing my journey of having entered into perimenopause last year at the good old age of 55. And I'm just going to be sharing with you some of the strategies that I've implemented to help me lose one of the biggest symptoms of perimenopause, and that is the belly fat. And I'm going to also share with you how, you can lose it too.
This is powerful, Belinda. Trust me, even before the perimenopause phase, we all struggle with keeping our weight at a certain level. And it's a bigger challenge, especially when you enter or you're about to enter perimenopause phase. Can you please expand on what is this perimenopause phase for a woman?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to let everybody that's listening know that I am not a medical professional. I'm just an everyday woman, just like you, who is, listening to this podcast, who found herself and, getting some symptoms that I wasn't really too sure about. And then based on me going down a rabbit hole of research and visiting the doctor, it was determined that I'm in perimenopause. So based on my research and, the definition that my physician has given me is perimenopause is that stage that a woman enters into as their body is preparing to enter menopause, which is, you're no longer going to be able to bear children. You're not going to be producing any more eggs and things of that nature. So that is the definition of perimenopause. And through my research, I've also found that you could be in perimenopause for years because I know, because in order for you to be considered in full-blown menopause, you have to miss a menstrual cycle for 12 consecutive months. So until that happens, if you miss one or two and then it comes on, then you have to start your 12-month count over again. Until you have missed the cycle for 12 full months. So that's what perimenopause, my understanding is of that.
Wow. And what is that you feel, or what does it look like to enter that phase, physiologically speaking?
So what it looked like for me, okay, so like I said, I'm 55. So I'm considered late stage perimenopause. A lot of my girlfriends, they entered perimenopause and completed their cycle probably in their late 40s. For a lot of them, it was mood swings. So this is very important, men. So if your mate is moody and you're like, this is coming out of the blue and nothing really has changed, it could be a symptom of perimenopause. Achy joints. You're getting out of the bed and you're like, gosh, well, I didn't bump my elbow or anything. Where does all this hurting come from? Hot flashes. I have my fan right here, ready and on standby at any second. So for me, it was the hot flashes, the night sweats, and the biggest thing for me was the belly fat. It just seems like I went to bed one night, regular size. And then when I woke up in the morning, my stomach looked like, a busted can of biscuits. It was just like the belly fat and the bloating. So those were the three primary things for me: the bloating, the belly fat, and, the occasional hot flash, but night sweats. When I talked about the night sweats, it would be like, you're perfectly fine. You get in the bed under the covers and then you get completely like hot. So I would take off all my clothes. And then I literally mean 10 seconds later, you enter a freeze zone. So you put all your clothes back on and then it just goes back and forth for like about an hour and then it passes. So get ready, ladies. It's coming.
We better do. Yes. Wow. So talk to me about mood swings. What does that look like, and how did you prepare yourself, and what are your techniques and strategies to deal with your mood swings for yourself, and how you can also prepare your partner, what they should do or how they should be dealing with your mood swings?
Well, we didn't have that much of a difference in mood swings, thank goodness. But I can share a story that my girlfriend would share. She would just describe this feeling of, at a moment's notice, she would just really get irritated about the smallest thing. Like, for example, if someone, I don't know, left a glass on the counter as opposed to putting it in the sink or in the dishwasher.
Right.
when she's normal, hey, she would just take the glass and put it away. But she would describe the mood swings is that when it hit her, it would be a full-blown angry moment where the whole house had to know that that one single glass was, not in the dishwasher or not in the sink. So for her, she described it as she had to catch herself, that her mate would say something in a regular tone voice and say, hey babe, I think you may be having a moment, you may want to go and gather yourself, as opposed to igniting and gaslighting into an argument. So I think for mates, when you start to see these little changes happen, that you recognize, okay, she may be having a mood swing moment. It's not against me. It's against her hormones.
Right.
And, just reply in a monotone voice. A hug would be great too.
That's really powerful, to understand, not just for a woman who is going through that, but also the family members and especially the mate who is, going through with her through that phase. Thank you so much for sharing that, Belinda. My gosh, you're such a great coach. As I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, she's a great coach and a teacher.
Well, my profession is a trainer, and I
No
train.
wonder.
I do a lot of corporate training, and I do a lot of training in like the customer service space. So I'm talking people down off, the ledge all the time, and so it does transcend into how I handle everyday situations. But thank goodness so far, I haven't experienced a lot of mood swings. Most of mine, the most impactful was the bloating. And the belly fat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So please talk to us about that area. So physiologically, you experience changes, right? Which are very visible, which is belly fat and bloating. How did you deal with that, and what are the strategies that you use for yourself to stay in shape and not have the bloating or the belly fat, that you don't want?
So, of course, the first thing that I would recommend if you start to have these symptoms is that you go and see your physician, go see your gynecologist or family doctor to just make sure that, it's not anything, other than you're entering this phase. So for me, when it came to the bloating, it's like I would always eat, I loved pasta. I loved bread, just like the next person, whether it's a bagel, whether it's a bread for a sandwich or just anything. And, that was in my normal diet within, I didn't never overdo it, but I started to notice that after I started having, eating these things, that my belly was swelling up. And it is because during perimenopause, I became gluten intolerant. So if you don't understand what gluten is naturally found in wheat. And it is what makes us addicted to pizza crust and bagels and all the ooey gooey things, the crackers, the cookies, the cake, all of that pretty much is made of some kind of wheat flour. But as I was entering into this perimenopausal phase, my system just could not digest it the same way anymore. So it would just make me huge. Like I would look like I'm 7 months pregnant. And I just thought, okay, I'm getting older. It's no big deal. But it wasn't until it became painful that I really took a notice. Like one night, my daughter and I had a great pasta dinner. Oh, I love pasta. And afterwards, she was like, Mom, look at your stomach. And when I looked down, I mean, it was huge. And then that sent me down another rabbit hole.
Wow.
And I realized that as I'm making this shift, that I can no longer eat gluten. And when you start to think about that, you start to think about You mean I can't eat crackers? I can't eat any kind of bread? No bagel, no pizza, no cake, no cookie, nothing with a crust? And you start, you know, I
Yeah,
want to,
exactly. And for me, it would be croissants, my favorite.
yes, yes. So what I had to do is just learn, what I could eat and how I could make replacements.
Wow.
And it just, it really started with the gluten intolerance, because once I was able to get that belly fat, because the belly fat was there, but now just imagine the extra belly fat, the roll, but now it's expanding
Hmm.
to be bloated.
Wow.
So I had to get control of the bloat before I could really deal with the belly fat. So once I was able to kind of find ways to make my own breads, and cut out a lot of wheat, then I can move forward with handling the belly fat. But it's a journey. So I just encourage all women that, um, embrace the change. I know it's scary, it's uncomfortable because it's about our outer appearance,
Hmm.
but just embrace. I look at it like this. God, this is a great creation.
Yes.
This is a great creation. And when you kind of step out of yourself and just watch all that this body can do,
Hmm.
it tells us everything that we need to know, right?
So true.
So if you're getting bloated, then that's your body saying, hey, check this out because something is not right. It's almost, think of it like a car,
Hmm.
that when your car is, you take it to the mechanic and the mechanic tells you what's wrong. It's the same thing with this body. We have to just start to listen to the symptoms that we're having in order to be able to make the change. I know that was kind of long.
No, that's powerful, actually. And I was thinking as you were explaining how you figured out that gluten was your thing, that you got your body became intolerant of gluten, and it took you some time to figure that out. Over time you were noticing a pattern. Okay, every time I eat something that has gluten in it, even though before that you were just perfectly fine, with eating foods that have gluten, now your body is becoming intolerant, and that is definitely a journey, an introspective journey as well, right? You have to keep a record of what you are eating, how much you are eating, and what is it doing or affecting your body in what ways. So how long it took you, Belinda, to notice that pattern?
Well, I didn't. I did when I went for my annual physical. I mentioned these things to my doctor, and but I actually had the benefit of having a relative who, she's not in perimenopause because she's probably about 10, 15 years younger than me, but she still started to have all of these different kind of food allergies, right?
Hmm.
So she was able to share a lot of the information that she had gained by going through her journey with me. So once I started looking at that information and then just kind of testing it out first before I, go to have my own food allergy test and so forth, I noticed that I was feeling a lot better
Hmm.
by cutting out the gluten and finding replacements. There are a lot of replacements out there, that, like, I shop. I don't know if where people are listening to this. I shop at a store called Aldi,
Right.
the German grocery store, and they have a ton of gluten-free options that, is available. And then I started looking for recipes, simple recipes of how can I still want a bagel, right? I
Hmm.
still want a bagel. So how can I make a bagel, at home that's higher in protein and gluten free?
Hmm.
So I started finding all of these. I didn't even know about gluten flour.
Hmm.
Um, the combination of gluten flour and almond flour mixed with Greek yogurt and a few other ingredients that I can make my own bagel. Now, it doesn't have that elasticity like a gluten bagel does,
Right, right.
but it satisfies the need.
Yes, the
Um,
craving.
yeah. And then, like, for pizza crust, who would have thought you can make pizza crust out of a can of chicken? So now I'm tackling the gluten, but by me adding more protein, I'm now tackling the belly fat. So
Hmm.
once I started to kind of put this gluten-free with trying to find a protein substitute, then my body was like, oh my God, we're getting back into pants that we couldn't get into, or blazers that doesn't have any, years ago, and they still make quality clothing, but they don't make them like they used to. It
Mm-hmm.
used to be you could find a really good structured blazer that didn't have a lot of stretch in it, but it was structured. And I still had one, a
Hmm.
couple of them that didn't have stretch, but when I used to try it on when I was bloated and big belly, I couldn't get it closed. But now I can put it on and close it.
Wow.
So it's a process. It's probably, I started the gluten-free process probably about May or April of 2024. And then it took a couple of months for me to kind of navigate and test things out, because now I have pasta substitutes. I can eat palmini noodles mixed with a spiralized zucchini and a squash to make my pasta, as opposed to the traditional linguine, and to me it tastes the same.
My God,
So
it sounds delicious.
well, but then when you start finding all of these substitutes that you're like, I didn't even know this, I wasn't looking for. It's always been there in plain sight, right? But until it affects you, you never pay attention. I don't have celiac. Celiac is still a gluten intolerance, but that's more of a disease. Whereas gluten intolerance, I'm still able to eat a little gluten here and there, mostly there. Like
Hmm.
if I'm craving a donut.
Right. And on the go, and you can take a bite or so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get like to the point of illness where I have to be hospitalized. Now
Mhm.
that's celiac. Um, Gluten intolerance can be more of just sort of a disruption in the gut, bloating, but not really. It's gonna, like I said, make me really sick.
As I'm listening to you, Belinda, you're explaining so patiently and making it look like as if it was so effortless. But I know deep down it is not effortless when you are going through those challenges and you feel like, oh my gosh, what is happening to my body? And you are not equipped with the knowledge and the tools. You're just not prepared for that phase, and I'm so glad that we are having this conversation, and people, men, women, everybody would be listening to this and getting more knowledgeable about this phase, and hopefully you guys can prepare for this and find for yourself what works, what doesn't work, what your body gets intolerant, and how you can replace those foods and diets with the things that work for you. So now talking about the weight control, right? And mostly the fat control, not the weight control, because I look at you and my gosh, you look beautiful and you do not look even 50, and you said you are 55. This is inspiring. I am looking forward to looking something closer to this when I get 55. So it's a huge inspiration, Belinda. So share with us, what do you do? How do you, what are the exercises that you have included in your routine? And how mindful you were when you were incorporating and discovering those exercises that you want to do in this phase of your life?
Well, I'm not new to the gym. I'm not new to eating healthy and working out. And that was the thing that really boggled my mind, because I've always worked out. But when you get to that threshold, and everybody's crossover to perimenopause is at a different age, you'll know when it's your turn, when you have changed nothing, and it just seems like it's not working anymore.
Mm,
So for me, I was going to the gym about 3 days a week, doing, what I call full body exercises, a lot of cardio, things of that nature. And it seemed like it was making it worse.
mm,
So what I had to start incorporating is, because as you do get older, you will have some limitations. Maybe for some women, it's like, yeah, I used to run all the time, but now my knees hurt. I can't, run as much or run as fast, or I can't do all this crazy hit jumping and all of this kind of stuff. So what I started incorporating as far as exercise is what I call what's called functional exercises. And these are exercises that mimic everyday life, things that you will need to do as you get older. And whenever you're younger, you don't really think about that. You think about maybe what you see on, I don't know, Instagram or TikTok. Somebody's doing a new workout and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do that. You can do that. Because why? Because you're still young.
Yes.
But once you get to a certain point, sometimes you don't have that same flexibility or that same mobility. So what I would do, or what I do, is exercises, like I said, that mimic everyday life. For example, it's called a farmer's walk. Imagine if you were working on a farm and you had 2 bales of hay and you're walking to take it to the horse stable, right? Each of those bales, I don't know, maybe weigh 20 pounds each. So how does that equate to the gym? You get 2 kettlebells or 2 dumbbells and you do your farmer's walk outside in the gym. And what is that mimicking? That is mimicking my 70-year-old self carrying 2 grocery bags that the checkout girl made too heavy because she put milk and orange juice and all the heavy things in the bags that now I have to carry.
Yes.
So as I'm mimicking these exercises in the gym, it's real life. So in my real life, the bags aren't as heavy. So those kinds of exercises, or another exercises is, like a squat to an overhead press. It's all about strength training. So start thinking about yourself like, hey, I'm on a plane. I have a 50-pound piece of luggage. These deadbeat guys see me trying to lift this overhead. Don't offer to help. So when you're in the gym, you get you a dumbbell or a kettlebell and you do your squat to overhead press, because that's mimicking a real life situation that you may end up encountering. And if you don't have the help, you're strong enough to do it yourself. Wow. So those are the types of exercises that I do in the gym that not only are strength training, but they're real life exercises that I will need out at what I call in the wild. So those are the types of things that I would suggest that women, as you're moving into 40s and above, and you're starting to do strength training, and you're like, I don't really know what I should be doing. I see all these crazy things online. I don't know what to do. Just start thinking about what you're doing in everyday life and how you can strengthen yourself at the gym or at home so that these exercises will be easier.
Wow. So in other words, at this age, let's say 40 plus or 50, we are really training our body to stay functional and strong for our later years. We want to live healthy and happy in the moment, but at the same time, we are keeping in mind those coming years when our muscles will lose their strength. They deteriorate with time, right? And if you are not eating right, if you're not exercising properly, that rate will just accelerate and you will lose that strength and mobility and functionality, sooner than it will happen naturally. So that's a great motivation for all of us to keep that in mind, and prepare for those years when inevitably we will get there and we will need more strength, and then we will look back and think like, oh my gosh, I should be doing better, living better, training for these days especially. So tell us more about how long you have been doing this and what are the results that you have seen for yourself and how it has helped you with your moods, with your functionality, with your mobility, in your personal and professional life both.
Well, it's definitely made an improvement. You can go and see my before and 8-week progress pictures on losethefat2025.com. And when you look at those pictures, in the before picture, I was working out 3 days a week. So that was my before when I entered into this perimenopausal phase, right after I got the bloating under control, but right before I started to get the belly fat under control. And the after picture is just 8 weeks after, with me creating a plan and implementing it consistently week after week, day after day, and showing up for myself. And the plan is not like cutting out any food groups or cutting out chips, or I still eat chips, gluten-free chips though. And it's just the small changes that you'll make. But what it's done for me personally is it definitely brought back my confidence, because what I tell people all the time about perimenopause is it only has 3 purposes: steal your hormones, kill your confidence, and destroy your body.
Wow.
And either you're going to just accept it because, the women in my family, I never talked about, never one single thing about this phase. So either you're going to accept it or you're not. And if you're not, then I think the best approach is just to take a slow approach with no pressure. That's the thing, because we're so, whether it's in our career, oh, I've got to get my body back because I'm going to the Christmas party, or I've got to hurry up and get my body together because I have this great vacation coming up, or I'm going to be standing up in front of people training. Give yourself some grace. That's my biggest, that was what I gave myself. Is even though I wanted it to be over quickly.
Yes, we all do. I hear you.
I wanted to return to the Belinda before perimenopause. I wanted to look great in my swimsuit that I went to, Jamaica last year, but I didn't look as good as I wanted. In other pictures, I was wearing my shapewear,
right,
hot. So it didn't happen overnight, and it's still ongoing. What my 8-week journey for myself was just the beginning. Because the one thing that I really want to say to all women going through perimenopause, when you have to make a shift, it is not a temporary shift. It is a new you. This is a new year. It's going to be a new you. What used to work is not going to work anymore. Don't think that, oh, I'm going to make these dietary little quick changes and I'm going to do some functional exercises and then I'm going to stop and go back to what you know.
Right.
No, it's a new you. It's a better version of you.
Yes.
And oftentimes when we think about getting older, especially women over 50, you think, God, she's old, over 50. Oh my God. But here's what I say. Aging is a gift that not everyone receives, right?
Beautiful. Please repeat that one more time for me.
Aging is a gift that not everyone receives. I personally have family members and people that I know that had died early in teens. But here's the thing that keeps me going. I still have one, let me think, she's a great aunt. She's 101.
Wow.
I've had 2 great aunts that died at 100. I have aunties now that are in their 80s. So think about this, just for me. I don't know your family, but I'm 55. If I follow their path, I could live another 45 years.
Yes.
And do you think I should right now say that my life is over?
No.
I have a whole nother life to live.
Absolutely. And more conscious life with so much knowledge and wisdom that you have acquired in all those years by putting in so much hard work. Imagine when you went through the schools, universities and job and everything that you have learned. And now really is the time, to harvest the fruits of all your hard work. And what we do traditionally, women, is, after 40 or after 50, my life is over. Now I'm just, sitting in that corner as, someone waiting for my death, let's say, right? I'm useless. I don't have any more goals. But I'm so glad that this narrative is changing, and we as women are realizing our power and our potential for these later years, and working on ourselves to really be able to enjoy that time, and not just for ourselves but for our next generation. Imagine if you have kids and you will have grandkids. Hopefully, you want to pass that wisdom, that knowledge to them as well, and enjoy them and have opportunity for them to enjoy your compassion, your love, your presence in their life too. So think from that perspective and take care of yourself. I think that is a huge motivation. Thinking for myself, like I have a son and I'm already planning on having good time with my grandkids, because when my son was growing up, I was so busy, right, with working and dealing with things in life and exploring new avenues. So I didn't really enjoy the time with my son, the quality time that I really wanted to. So now I'm looking forward to having that time with my grandkids and my nieces and my nephews, and be a source of wisdom and acknowledgement for them, and be a way sure trailblazer. So I think that is my way of motivating everyone. Please take care of yourself, your bodies, and value yourself, value your presence in this world. It's a huge blessing, as you said earlier. The life and especially living those older years, senior years, it's a blessing. It's a huge blessing, and we must acknowledge it instead of just discarding it as something, oh, it's no more valuable anymore. So I totally agree with you, Belinda. So what is your plan? I know you have this wealth of wisdom and real time tested strategies and methods that you have been using for yourself. Do you plan on sharing this with other women in a more structured way, such as offering them coaching services, or what are your plans?
Yes, definitely. And before I share my plans, I just wanted to say this to you, Ansa, that what you just articulated is the definition of blooming.
Mm.
Is everything that you just said, just coincides with your whole theme and platform of blooming. I mean, we are right here. But if we open ourselves, as you were mentioning earlier, to just, have a different mindset and be willing to, share this information, then that is the blooming, the blossoming of life that, that exudes from you and your personality here and your beauty here. So what you're saying, you're the epitome of blooming. And I just wanted to say that before answering your question. So yeah, I have compiled all of my knowledge so that other women don't have to kind of piecemeal it together in a guide called the Perimenopause Playbook. And it's on the losethefat2025.com, where, I just share every single thing that I'm doing. And I'm doing this real time. It's not, like I said, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I am continuing to get results, whether it be showing you the exact meals that I make, how to make, those delicious desserts that we want, no bake, high protein desserts, showing you the exercises and so forth. And I am opening, at the current moment, I don't have any things set in place to do quote coaching yet. But hey, if there's somebody out there that says, hey, I see your guide and I have some questions, or I need an accountability partner, of course, I would definitely entertain the idea of coaching someone, because it's a lot. Because I think what happens for most women is we enter this stage unknowingly. We just know that something is off.
Yes.
I don't understand why I'm getting angry about these little things, or I don't understand why, I can barely walk up the steps, or I'm doing more cardio and going to the gym and eating the same healthy things, and all of a sudden I can't button up my pants. We're looking for all of these solutions and quick fixes, but I just want to share with the audience is my guide is not a quick fix. It's about a fat loss journey, not a weight loss journey. And I think that we as women, we get on the weight loss journey train probably at 5 years old.
Yes.
Oh, she could stand to lose a little weight. Let the kid be a kid, right? So as we age and we get this perimenopausal weight gain, because you may get, 5 or 10 pounds a year and it's sliding up, you're like, oh, that's nothing. And then all of a sudden, it's like the weight is shifted in places that you didn't know it could go.
Yep.
And so I just encourage women to stay off the scale. Once you start a program, whether it's, you use my guide or whomever, because at this phase of life, it's a fat loss journey. And what a fat loss journey, how it differs from a weight loss journey, is that a fat loss journey, you're not consumed with the number on the scale. You will ultimately lose weight, but you're also going to lose body fat, and you'll have more of a definition, as opposed to a weight loss journey. Its sole purpose is to reduce the number on the scale, which we as women tend to do by starving ourselves. Oh, I'm not going to eat any more bread. I swear I'm not eating any more bread. And we're going to eat a ridiculous number of calories, like 700 and the moment that you go and eat a regular meal, the scale goes up and you think you're a failure. So just change your mindset, and I guarantee you everything else will fall into place. And look at it like this. Time continues on, right? So there's no need to rush. There's no need to rush. If you lose a pound a month, that's 12 pounds a year. It's no need to rush. Just do the work and let your body, the car, show you what it can do at this stage of life. It's not going to do the same thing it did at 20. It's not going to drop 5 pounds in a week unless you're just on a juice cleanse. It's not going to do that. But it is going to give you sustainable results.
Yes, and enjoy the journey instead of, looking at the goal. Once I get there, only then I will enjoy it or I will celebrate it. No, it's the person you become as a result of getting on this journey and appreciating yourself and being a role model for others too. Like, okay, things happen, body changes, it's a natural phenomena, no big deal. But at the end of the day, I am in charge and I am in control. And by making little changes, little tweaks, whether it's in my diet or in my exercise, I can live my best life. That's how we should be looking at life. And I know most of us, we are not taught from the beginning to have this kind of empowered thinking, but now because we are well aware, we are more mature in our life, we have more control on how we want to see ourselves and how we want to think, what do we want to manifest in our life. I think we should take the responsibility and just have a little bit of different thinking, more empowered thinking, so we can feel more in control of our lives and take good care of ourselves, not just mentally, but physically and emotionally as well, and enjoy the life, because life is a precious gift. So thank you so much, Belinda, for sharing this wisdom, sharing your journey. It's so inspiring with all of us. I learned so much from it, and I feel like I'm prepared when the time comes. And thanks to you for that. And I'm sure our listeners have learned so much from this, and they will apply those tools. So you already mentioned that if they want to know more about your journey and get the free resources that you have out there, they can go to losethefat2025.com. Is that correct?
Yes, losethefat2025.com. And the 75-page guide is right now, it's only $20. It's definitely a lot cheaper than a trainer or, some of the medications that's out there right now. So this is a resource that you can easily refer back to. And like I said, it's got a lot of information and guides that I'm still using here today to get even, more results than I could have ever imagined. And the one thing that I do want to say before, we close out is just trust the process, right? Mm-hmm. Just trust the process. The biggest gift that this fat loss journey has given me is it has given me the ability to watch and understand how my body processes fat, right? When I used to be focused on the weight, I could never see where the weight was coming from. Yeah, you can look at your face or whatever, but when you're on a fat loss journey and you take pictures, this is like you're creating a body manual. So that as you're losing the fat, and maybe the first part of your fat loss comes off at your neck or on your arms, then these are going to be the places that the fat goes back to. Like, for example, for me, on my fat loss journey, I know this back roll right here, it's going to be the last to go. And when it goes, it's going to be the first to come back.
Wow.
Whenever, if you change your diet. So being able to just look at your pictures and dissect how your body processes food and what you eat, to me has been life-changing, an amazing experience that I never would have gained if I just simply kept getting on the scale every day saying, darn it, I only lost a half a pound, or I gained that 2 pounds, just focusing back and forth on that. So Give yourself some grace, love yourself, bloom where you are. And then when you get to the next phase, bloom where you are there and continue blooming throughout the rest of your life's journey.
Wow, what a beautiful and powerful message, Belinda. Thank you so much for that. And with that, thank you everyone for staying with us until the very last minute here. I appreciate you, and I wish you all the very best in your journeys, wherever you are. And if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. Give us a thumbs up if you like this episode, and press the bell icon so all the future videos can get to you. And at the end, it's my motto always: chase your dreams and live with passion. Thank you so much.